Welcome to the Stitch Guide. This week we're looking at the granny stitch ripple, or chevron you might call it, but isn't it lovely? It's really nice, and it feels a bit flimsy while you're first making the first couple of rows, but don't worry, it takes shape as you build it up. In this sample I've used Stylecraft Special DK acrylic yarn, a hint of silver, and waterfall with a 4mm hook. So let's get started. Using the hint of silver to begin, I'm going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to make our chain in a multiple of 25 plus 1. So I'm going to make 2 repeats for the tutorial. That's 50 plus 1. So pause the video to make your chain, and then I'll see you when we have a nice long chain. So I've now got 51 chains, yeah, and I've got 50 chains, and I'm going to then add 1, so that's 51. Then we're then going to chain 3 to begin. Yeah, we're going to skip the first 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to make 3 US doubles, UK trebles into the next chain. So 3 stitches into the same chain. Yeah, we're then going to skip 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain we're going to make 3 stitches again. So we're going to go along and do that 3 more times. So that's 3 stitches. We're then going to skip 2, 1, 2, and make 3 stitches. All US doubles, UK trebles, just like a granny square. Oops. Yep, so that's three groups, and we're now going to skip 2, and we'll make our 4th group into that same space, 3 stitches. Oops. Yep, so we've got 4 groups of granny stitches. Yeah. We're then going to make our first increase. So we're going to chain 2. And then in the next chain, we're going to make 3 stitches. So we're not going to skip any chains. We're going to go into the next chain. So you can see it's like we've turned the corner of a granny square. So we're now going to skip 2 chains and then make 3 stitches in the next chain. And we're going to do, so we'll have 4 groups altogether. So we're now working on the 2nd group before we make the decrease. Yeah, so after 3 stitches, skip 2 and then make 3 more stitches. There we go, we now have 3 sets. We're going to do the last one. So 1, 2, and then into the third chain, 3 stitches. So now we come to the decrease. We're going to skip 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then make 6. Working in the 6th chain, we make 3 stitches. Yeah. So let me just place that down. So that's going to be like so, and then there's our increase. Yeah, so we've gone along 4 groups and made an increase, and then 4 groups and made a decrease. So now we're going to make 4 groups. There's our first one, and then we'll make another increase. So we've made 3 stitches. We're going to skip 2 chains and make 3 stitches. After your 3 stitches, skip 2 chains and then make 3 stitches. So we've now got 3 groups, and we're going to make the last one. So skip 2 and then 3 stitches. So to make the increase, we're going to chain 2. And then instead of skipping 2, we're just going to go into the next chain and make 3 stitches. Yep, and you can see we've now turned that second corner. And now we're going to work down to the end. Yeah, so we're going to skip 2, 3 stitches, skip 2, 3 stitches, and we should have 4 groups at the end. So you can pause the video because you may have a much longer chain, and I'll see you at the end of our chain when we get back to the slip knot. So after your 4 groups, when you're at the end, you should be on a decrease. When you get to the decreases, remember we skipped 5, yeah, to go in. So at the end, you should have 2 chains and then 1 left. I miscounted. I remember at the beginning, I couldn't remember, and I added an extra one. So skip 2 and then just make a US double, UK treble into the last chain. So if, like me, you chained 1 too many, I'm just going to pull that last chain really tight. So let's have a look at that first row. There we go. Oops. Doesn't that look cool? So we can now change colour, or you can just chain 3 and turn your work around. Yeah, so I'm going to chain 2 and change colour. So the second colour I'm using is the waterfall. I'm just making a slip knot. And then, so if you're going to back your blanket, you can just keep going on the right side. But otherwise, I recommend you turn your work on each row. So I've made my slip knot, and then we're just going to attach that into the space between that last stitch and the last group of stitches. Yep, and then pull that tight. So we are going to chain 3. So if you've just turned your work, you're going to just chain 3, and then we're going to go into the space between the two, into the space between the 2 groups from the last round. Yeah. And we're going to make 3 stitches, US doubles, UK trebles. After the 3 stitches, we're going to hop across to the next space, and we're going to make 3 more stitches. And then into the next space, 3 stitches. So let's just have a look. We've got 3 groups of granny stitches. We're doing 4 for each before we increase or decrease. So we're just coming up to our first increase. We're going to make 3 stitches in that space. So it's just like a granny square corner. After 3 stitches, chain 2, and then 3 more stitches in that same space. So that's our increase, and then we're going to work down to the decrease. So we'll make 3 more groups of granny stitches. Yeah, so we're going to go in between the next 2 groups and make 3 stitches. And then we'll just have a little look-see at the work. So there we go, you can see how that's building up. It does look like a granny square, right? So we're now working down to the decrease. So we're going to do, we've got 1, 2, and we've got 2 more groups before we decrease. And then hop across, whoops, and 3 stitches. So there's our 4 groups down to the decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to skip that next space and go straight into the second space. And we're going to make 3 stitches. So let's just lay that down so you can see how that should look. And now we're working back up to the next increase. So that's the first group, and we make 4 in between each increase and decrease. So let's go up to that next increase. So we make 3 stitches in the next space. And then 3 stitches in the space after that. Just grab some slack, and then up to the increase. So we're going to make 3 stitches, chain 2, 3 stitches. So chain 2, and then 3 stitches into the same space, yeah. After your 3 stitches, hop across and 3 more stitches. And the same again, hop across. Let me grab some slack. Oops, it's all getting tangled with the other yarn. And 3 stitches, yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3. So the 4th one, 3 stitches. So carry on going for as long as you're making your blanket. And when you get to that last decrease, you just hop across and make a US double, UK treble into the space between the group and the chain space. And then you're going to either chain 2 and cut your yarn, or chain 3 and turn your work. Yeah, and it's the same. So the next row will be the same as the row you just made. You just keep turning your work. Whoops, I'm getting tangled up. Let's lay this down and just pull that. And there we go. It's lovely. And you can join granny squares into these as well. So if you wanted, you could have some granny squares and then some ripples, and that works really well together. So I'll see you in the next video.